What up, YouTube? Flan Speaks back. So we got the faction established, or part 2 of it, as far as what we've seen on the screen. And this was the official situation or segment where Bianca Belair and Naomi, they introduced WWE's next superstar that they're looking to push, Jade Cargill. Come in looking the part. All three look fabulous. The segment was okay. As far as the acting goes, the talking, some of it was corny where they said, where there will be no damage control in all one voice or whatever. But hey, look, man, they look good. They sound good. And there's a lot of potential this particular faction has. I think everyone has to agree with it. Now, what I'm going to go over is what about it I liked, and then what about it I didn't like, okay? Because I'm a little mixed on certain aspects of it. Number one, the faction in and of itself I do like. How in the world can you not like Naomi? The veteran who's been there really on the main roster going back to when the Bellas were wrestling, right? When the Bellas had the belt, Naomi was there. She was before Charlotte. She was before Sasha, before Becky, all of them. The vet. All right, how do you not like Naomi mixed with Bianca Belair? Right now one of the faces of the company, the EST of the whole thing. She can do everything in the ring pretty much. Decent on the mic. With Bianca Belair, we ain't got to talk too much. 3-time women's champion, blah blah blah. All right, and then Jade Cargill. Mark Henry, who got to be the GOAT recruiter right now, especially for the women's division. How he went out there and found Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. So this is the second one he found. As she goes to AEW, makes a name for herself. Look, you got to give her respect for that. So that when she came to WWE, she was in position to skip past NXT and the Performance Center and all of that, and to be pushed to the main roster from the rip. I can't hate on that. Probably got signed for something nice. But it's a good faction. They look the part. They look like they will whoop the ass of anybody in the women's division, any three they could put together. The only way you could probably match it, I'm thinking you got to put together a faction of like Rhea and Charlotte, and maybe with a Becky, maybe something like that. It's the only thing that could probably challenge this faction. There's a lot of potential, okay? Now, what I did not like, and this is probably going to be the bulk of this video here, is the way in which it was done. I'm not necessarily feeling. And then the imagery of it, I'm not necessarily feeling. All right, in terms of the way it was done, all right, you had Jade Cargill brought on, all right, months ago from AEW. There was this few segments where they have her meeting Charlotte Flair for a quick handshake, meeting Becky Lynch for a quick handshake. Both of them saying a little slick stuff to each other. Whatever, what have you. Then we don't see her for a while. I think she makes one little NXT appearance, where she sits down, something like that. So we don't know if she's going to NXT. We don't know if she's going to SmackDown, Raw necessarily, though I had my hunch that she would probably end up in SmackDown. But whatever the case may be, we didn't see much of her. She's gone so much, and we find out now, she was working out at the Performance Center, working on some things, techniques, I guess, gained some chemistry with some of the ladies. Triple H even said that he wanted to make sure that she's prepared for anything, because a lot of things can happen in WWE ring, ain't even outside of a ring. Monkey wrenches can happen. Wrestlers can go off script. Whatever, you can plan to do one thing and it doesn't happen and you got to change, right? So I guess he took his time with it, which is the right approach. Because they invested a lot of money in her, I'm sure. They're giving her a lot of screen time. They're giving her a ridiculous push. So, right, that's what you're going to do, that's the right approach. You make sure this person get rid of much green as possible, all right? My hunch is, though, she's still green a lot in a lot of areas. And this is why number one, it is a good idea to put her with Bianca Belair and Naomi because they're veterans, who will coach her through this particular thing. Who she's probably going to ride the coattails of them a little bit when it comes to reality. All right. But what I don't like about the way it was done in a way where Bianca Belair and Naomi have a feud with the Damage Control. All right, so you got Damage Control just jumping them. One week you jumping Naomi, next week you jumping Bianca. Yeah, Bianca tries to help Naomi, she still gets jumped. Naomi tries to help Bianca, she gets jumped. And then they have this one little section where Jade Cargill just looks at them, right? And then out of nowhere, when they decide to bring her onto the main roster, they have last week where she comes in. Of course, it all looked phenomenal, the moves, everything, the dominance, and all of that. But since then, it's kind of been Jade always in the middle. And I'm going to talk about the imagery in a minute. But the storyline, I'm not really feeling the center of attention being Jade in this faction. I think it would have been better for them to have Bianca in the center of it all. Because let's be for real. Naomi, though she's the veteran, she has not been, for whatever reason, she's over to a certain degree. She does have a fan base that likes her. And I think pretty much the WWE universe likes Naomi in general. She's like a sweetheart. You know what I mean? How can you not like Naomi? Doesn't offend anyone. She's a face. She's willing to job for the Tiffany's and all types of stuff that many people who have any type of status that she has would not take. Naomi is obviously someone that is just grateful to be in the business. She's also happy to be able to be in close proximity to her husband, Jimmy Uso. I get that, okay? But she's not like the face like a Bianca is, all right? Bianca Belair is someone that was pushed but earned it at the same time. She had to go through the NXT whole thing. She had to take her lumps, losing. She had to take riptides and all types of stuff. She had to go through Charlotte Flair, humiliating her in NXT. Then she had to go through Becky Lynch, knocking her out in 26 seconds. The most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. Nobody's buying it. But after you go through those lumps, what she do? She got to defeat Becky Lynch. They haven't had her defeat Charlotte Flair yet, right? Which I think is significant. But she defeats Becky Lynch. Still hasn't defeated Rhea Ripley. Still hasn't faced her though. But she did beat Becky Lynch, and she always gets to beat Bayley. Bayley is the one they don't mind having her beat all the time. But whatever the case may be, she took her lumps. She got to hold the title for a significant reign. I think she's held the Raw or the SmackDown, I'm not sure which one, longer than anyone. Good. Nice little feather in her cap. She gets to be on the cover of the 2K game this year. Another feather in her cap. Point is, Jade Cargill doesn't have any of these feathers in her cap as far as WWE is concerned. So I think it would have behooved them to introduce her in a way where Bianca is more in control of the situation. I know this might seem like I'm bitching a little bit, and I kind of am. I'm not going to hold you. I think I would have done it if I had anything to do with creative, or the creative should have done it where Bianca Belair and Naomi recruited Jade Cargill. More so than them out there, being emotional, not having a strategy in mind against Damage Control. They're just running out there emotionally, helping. And then Jade Cargill surprisingly comes and helps them out of nowhere. No, what it should have been was give Bianca a brain or give Naomi a brain. Have one of them strategize. The last couple of weeks we had segments where they're talking to each other. I want to help. Bianca's not sure if she wants to help. Naomi convinces her to help. When she sees Naomi getting beat, she can't help herself. Goes out there and help. Okay, what they should have done was one of them should have thought, hey, we need to recruit a third member. So then you have them recruit Jade Cargill and then have Jade at first be like, you know what, I'm not going to help or something like that. And then if you wanted to be this surprise, then have Jade come out. I think that would have been better. but have her come on as their recruitment. And the one that should be in the lead or in the middle, or the leader of the faction, should be Bianca Belair. Okay? That makes a much better story, because this is the reality. Jade Cargill, despite, having the look and all of this type of stuff people are talking about, the aura, the star power, all this stuff people are saying, she's green. She's very green. And the fans you can't push a person to the point where the fans don't recognize green. Green is just going to show itself. And cream will rise to the top. What I think is going to happen is, and what I hope does happen, because it would behoove both of them, is that Bianca Belair will ultimately become the leader of the faction. Whether they keep it as a faction, whether they drop one off, whether they go with a tag team of, say, Bianca and Jade for a while, whatever they do, we know in reality, Jade is kind of being coached along to a degree. All right? She's being coached along until she's ready to do her own thing. So obviously she's not. So make the storyline make sense and kind of reflect that, because other than that, it's not going to come off right. It's going to be weird to have her in the middle constantly. Now, I get aesthetically her in the middle in every photo or every time the faction is together. Looks good from a photogenic standpoint, all right, because you got Naomi to the left or Naomi to the right, depending on, from Jade's perspective, Naomi to the right. Naomi, the darker skin, the most chocolate of them, all right? So and then Bianca is the lightest of them, so she's on the other end, and then Jade's kind of in the middle, if you're talking just photogenically, so I get it. She's taller than them too, but let's keep it real. Whenever you have, say, a 3-woman group, we can look at the music, for example, the Supremes. Diana Ross was always in the middle. Mary Wells and the other one are on the edge. Whoever we had, Destiny's Child, who was in the middle? Beyonce. All right, and then you had Michelle and the other one. Forgive me for getting the names. On the side. Right now they're pushing it as if Jade Cargill is the Beyonce, and then Bianca is like Kelly Rowland, and Michelle is no, and I'm saying this might seem little, but those things do matter. When in reality of this particular group, Bianca is the Beyonce, for real. And ultimately, what's inevitable, once they start wrestling, the cream is going to rise to the top, so Bianca is automatically going to be that anyway. Because right now she's better than Jade Cargill at wrestling. She's done more. Okay? So what I'm hoping is that the current situation with Jade constantly in the middle, looking like they needed her, the superhero thing she's going with, is just WrestleMania hype. Okay, and then whatever happens with this situation, I kind of expect them to win, even though belts won't be exchanged. I think ultimately they will take the championship belts from Kyrie and Asuka. I think that will happen, but I think that happens at a later date. Whatever happens here, I think they'll bring it back to the middle and understand, okay, Bianca is really the one and Naomi as well. They're the ones that are kind of helping Jade along, helping to break her into the business or break her into how WWE does things. I think that is what will happen. But I'm saying so far right now, I think it could have been done better in a way where they weren't just so retarded and needed Jade to do what she did. Like she was like a superhero coming to save 2 damsels in distress. I wasn't really feeling that, even though I understand the dynamic of the first time you see her, she has to look dominant, blah, blah, blah. But I would have done it in a way where it was the idea of one of the other girls to recruit her, as opposed to just her seeming like they're all just making emotional decisions out of nowhere for no reason, right? Because let's look at it. They've had limited interaction with each other on screen. You didn't see Naomi talking to Jade. You didn't see Bianca talking to Jade at all. All you saw was Bianca talking to Naomi. And they're just two airheaded to come to the conclusion, hey, maybe we should recruit this new girl who's trying to decide whether or not she's going to go to SmackDown or whatever. All right, so I blame creative for that. That should have been done better. All right. But we'll see what happens from here, man. Like I said, I don't like to keep these things too long. So I'm going to get on. WrestleMania starts later today. And tonight, today, and tomorrow. So I'll get with y'all after, man. Peace out.